first thing, I'm from the Northeast, and we had a conversation. I host this show called Inside the 12, right? It's about the Big 12, and the Big 12 network, the Big 12 puts it on. We were talking about how to say your name. Do you notice that people say Sawyer and then some say Sawyer? Mm-hmm. So what is the correct pronunciation?
It's Sawyer.
Sawyer.
But a lot of people, especially from the Northeast, will say Sawyer. And I don't correct it just because, like, I've been so, like, used to it growing up.
Yeah. Because you're high profile, and really – when people, the guys who call your games, like some of them from ESPN, from California, from the Northeast, and so they say Sawyer.
Yes. Yeah. No, it is Sawyer, though. The only like my parents will make comments about it. I think it's pretty funny. But, yeah, no, I don't really care.
Yeah, I've never called games that never got back up the food chain to me that I was saying it wrong. So I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Thanks for saving me. Your parents are the last people you want to – you never want to hear from somebody's parents when you're calling a game. Your games recently have gone very well. And – you have been not only a bright spot for this team, but for this school. And as you guys head into this game against TCU, what has been memorable about you for this year, your ability to turn the corner?
I think that just like kind of turning the corner, especially when you take in last year into account. That was just it was such a hard year as far as just everything goes. Like, you're not winning games. You feel like you're letting people down, letting the students down, letting the fans down, the alumni, just everybody. And then you're not playing well on top of that. It just wasn't a very good feeling. And so this year to just kind of have the success that we've had, and there have been like some lows this year too, but we've gotten over it. We've grown as a team. And so that's been the most encouraging thing, is just like getting over that kind of that hump of just like starting to win games. And so it's been really fun. And we're just looking to kind of build on that.
Yeah, I'll talk to you some about football, but I really want to learn about you as a person. And you talk about your fight, right? Like fighting for the starting job in camp. DeQuan Finn gets named starter. Mm-hmm. And this is after last year where you saw a bunch of work. You're a 4-star recruit from Lubbock. I mean, those guys can throw the ball, right? I mean, like a 4-star quarterback from Lubbock, Texas is a starter in college football. Took you a moment. Now you're here. You're seizing the moment. What about you? Where have you found that gear inside you to persevere and stay the course?
I feel like I'm very outspoken about my faith, and I consider that like the foundation of my life. It's like my identity is wrapped up in that, and I feel like that's the reason why I'm seeing what I'm seeing now, is because, a lot of people, especially at this age, everything they know, everything they are is wrapped up in football. And if that was the case for me, like, I wouldn't be here right now, because I've experienced so much failure, so much adversity in my career up to this point. And through it all, like, it just didn't change who I was. Now, it was hard, especially like, because you don't really learn it until you're put in the fire. And so it was kind of that thing, just getting over that hump. But yeah, no, my faith is what got me through that. I know, like, no matter what happens on Saturday against TCU this week, it's not going to change who I am as a person. It's not going to change anything. I got interviewed the other day, and I talked about it, like, my identity comes through what Jesus Christ did on the cross, and, like, that happened a long time ago, and, like, that's not changing anytime soon, no matter how I perform on Saturdays. So
it reminds me recently, Tom Landry, the legendary Cowboys coach, he had this successful career winning Super Bowls as a player, and he found God later in life because he was unfulfilled after all the success on the field, and so it's nice that you're able to tap into that now early in your life, because it's one of those things where to be fulfilled, you're always going to need that, right? That nourishment that comes from a higher power.
Absolutely. And I feel like I thought a cool interview that I watched was Tom Brady talked. It was after like his 4th or 5th Super Bowl, and he was just like, I just want more. And I'm sitting there like, man, if I was a starting NFL quarterback, if I won one Super Bowl, I'd be like, my life is completely, like, I've achieved it all. And I can kind of compare that to where I'm at now as a college. Like, I remember being in high school just being like, man, like, once I become a college quarterback, like, that's going to be like, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be all I ever wanted. And now I'm kind of in that position, having some success, and it's like, no, like it's empty. Like, it's all empty. And so because you just want more and more and more of it. And so, like, I'm starting to realize that too. And I'm thankful for people like that who are outspoken about it, and like what they've been through, because it helps people like me realize that, like, football is going to end one day for me. And so, like I said earlier, I can't wrap my identity in football, because I'm already starting to experience those feelings of like, man, like it's an empty feeling no matter how much you win, no matter how much success you have either.
How do you, like, take me through a day of how you stay out of yourself, right? Because there's so much focus on the quarterback. There's so much focus on the football program, and you seem to still be kind of wearing life like a loose shirt. How do you stay out of yourself and out of your head?
A lot, like, if you knew me outside of football, like a lot, I feel like I'm a little kid, honestly. Like I love just like messing around, goofing around. When I'm not like playing football or in season, like I love to just hang out with my friends, go fishing. Like I love fishing, that because you kind of spend time in nature. You get your mind off everything. And so like that's always been like a personal like hobby of mine that like I just can do to get my mind off everything. But then on top of that, it's just kind of remaining like, I feel like I'm the same person I was 3 years ago, 5 years ago, like all that's like, that doesn't change just because of like the circumstances or situations you find yourself in. Now it's like the Baylor quarterback versus when I was the Lubbock Coronado quarterback versus when I was the Patriots quarterback for my little league football team. You know, like I'm the same person throughout all that. And so that's kind of how you don't get like wrapped in, you know, the whatever it is of being the quarterback, and just like staying true to who you are as a person. And how you treat people is also important. I don't want, like, when people like talk about me, I don't want anybody to, I mean, I would like people to talk about like the quarterback. Like I want to have success doing that, obviously, but I want to make an impact. Like I want them to talk about the person I was. You know?
You can only control your interactions with people. You know what I mean? Like you can control all the noise out there. People are going to say what they're going to say.
Exactly.
Right.
And so there are going to be people that like you. There are going to be people that don't like you. But the people that you interact with, they have more of a say than the people on like Twitter or social media. And so like those are the people that you want to like have an impact on. You want to like pour into. You want them to pour into you as well.
How do you handle that? I'm like a mid-level announcer, and I'll look at Twitter after a game, and people will be like bash me. I'm like, ugh. And I'm like, don't look, dude, don't look. You know, it's almost worse for announcers because there's not even near the traffic for us that there is for you. But we can look at timeouts at least.
Yeah.
At least you can't get to your phone on the sideline. Yeah, what's that
That's
like
funny.
after a game? Where I'd like, how do you stay away from all that nonsense? Because that's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it was a struggle, especially at the beginning. Last year, you win 3 games. You're the quarterback at a school who, has had a lot of success in the past. There was a lot of talk, a lot of hate, and even like the direct message. Like it's not just like going on Twitter and seeing it. Like people are like messaging you stuff, and so like you just click on it, you see it.
I laugh because it's crazy.
Yeah,
you know?
no,
it's really an insane deal.
Yeah, no, it's wild. And for me, like that's kind of where I saw my faith grow. Is like, holy cow, like there really should just be one opinion of me that matters. And like that's kind of what I grew into. And then I kind of realized, like there are some people, instead of proving people wrong, I wanted to prove the people that did believe in me right. Like my parents, my brother, my entire family, really, my high school coach, like those people who poured a lot of time and effort into me. Those are the people whose opinions of me matter when it comes to football. But yeah, no, I also am pretty good about staying off social media. Like I'll download Instagram if I want to repost or post something like a Bible verse or something like that. Twitter, I try to stay off of completely, just because that's where like you see all the crazy stuff. And then also something I learned too is like you have to like take into account who is saying what. Like I learned like there are a lot of like we would win a game and somebody would message me something and I'm like, what? Like what's this guy's problem? And I started to realize like a lot of it is just like bettors. And so like if they might have bet the under, I played really good and the over hit, and they're like, screw you, dude. Like you lost me money.
Yeah.
And so like just understanding that too plays into it. But yeah, no, none of like I'm in the boat where like nobody else's opinion of me matters. Like I know who I am, and that's that.
What about something about you that people will be surprised to know?
Like when it comes to just life in general.
Yeah.
I'm not a big reader, to be honest. I enjoy watching movies, just hanging out, kind of relaxing. I really like spending time with my family, playing board games. Some of my best memories growing up. or just hanging out with my family, going on trips, playing any kind of board game, just competing with them. I have an older brother he's 18 months older than I am, and so we basically grew up like twins. So the competitive nature in me really came from him and just wanting to beat him in everything that we did, no matter what it was. And so he's a stud too. He's running track at Lubbock Christian University in Lubbock, and so I'm super thankful for him and just like my family in general. Really, really like homebody, family-oriented person. I would rather, I would hang out with them any day of the week over anybody else, to be honest.
Favorite board game?
We play a game. We call it aggravation. I think there's another name for it. I think Yahoo. People call it Yahoo too. Okay. But it's just dice and marbles. You try to get around the board. You can knock people off. That's like our family like staple when we like Thanksgiving, Christmas, everything. It's really fun. But we also like all the like Clue, Yahtzee, like all Monopoly. Like grew up playing all those too. But aggravation was like
that's a lost art, dude. Yeah. Not many people are playing board games anymore, and I love them.
Yeah. No, they're super fun. It's a good way to get away from like technology too, and so we loved them. I loved them growing up.
How about yourself as an entrepreneur? And this is down the line, or maybe it's right now. You can tell me. But 15 years from now, maybe you're still in the NFL, right? But maybe you're finished playing and you're coaching. But if outside of football, what do you see yourself doing?
I could see. I'm in the business school right now. With S3, which is basically like sports marketing.
S3, help me out here.
Sports strategies and sales. It's basically like sports marketing.
Okay.
Really like it.
Communications major. I got to school as a football player. What's the easiest major? It's communications.
That's funny.
Yeah. So S3, yeah.
But I really like the degree. I kind of want to go down like I would like to stay in like college athletics. Back and forth on being a coach or not, but I think like I could see myself being like assistant AD for a university one day. I think that would be really cool, just because you're not only in football, but like you're with every sport. You kind of get to enjoy all that stuff, and so I think that would be really cool, and I would aspire to do that.
Have you talked to Mac Rhodes at all about this?
No, not really about that yet, just because I still have a year before I graduate. Yeah. I probably will have a conversation with him, just ask for advice, how he kind of like got into the role.
He does an amazing job. We were talking about it earlier today, just talking sports. When he was at Houston, he hired Kelvin Sampson.
Really?
And that really took that program kind of out of the dark ages, like athletically. He really so he's a good guy to talk to.
Yeah,
and look
awesome.
at all the hires he's done
for
here
sure.
at Baylor.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a conversation that I'm looking to have in the future.
When you look at yourself and your body of work, whether it's as a person or an athlete, is there something you can put your finger on, a moment where you say, that was tough, but it made me a better man, whether it brought you closer to your faith or your family? Is there an instance you could point out?
I think so. Out of high school, out of Lubbock, I went to Mississippi State. Went to Mississippi State because I wanted to play for Mike Leach. Mm-hmm. Grew up watching him, Graham Harrell, Sonny Cumbie, all those guys at Texas Tech. And so it was honestly a dream come true to be able to go and play for him. And
so Mike Leach recruited you?
Yes. And so went there. It was awesome for a year and a half. And then, he's at practice one day calling plays, and then the next day he's not. And obviously it was a tragic accident. But it was really hard on me because I found myself 15 hours away from home. And really like the reason I was out there had gone away. And so I just kind of sat there and I was like, man, what do I do? And so that's really where I leaned into my faith, prayed really, really hard, asked God what he wanted me to do. And from then on out, just kind of like followed what I felt like I was being called to do. Ended up here, and it's been magnificent. But I would say that instance was, like you said, it was hard, not something that I envisioned happening, not something I wanted to happen. But I think I'm stronger now because of it.
I know Coach Rand is not a man of too many words, but clearly communicates with you guys, and on the defensive side of the ball, maybe more so with them. But has he ever talked to you about, he used to, when Mike Leach and he were assistants together, like the two of them in the same car driving around? Can you imagine that?
No, I can't imagine the conversations they had. He told me when I was getting recruited to come play here, he told me about some of the some of the Leach stories. The Leach stories are endless, by the way. Like, you can't ever hear, like, one person knows them, and there's 1,000 stories just from that one person. And so I always enjoy hearing them. I have some of my own, and so it's just really cool to see the two like connect like that, and
that's team sports though, and that's I want to ask you this too, like about how your team, and it seems like you guys continue to get closer and closer. Only in football could you have Dave Aranda and Mike Leach be coming together to share in the same car on ultimately the same mission.
Yes.
And then in football, you have it here too. How have the relationships with your teammates grown through everyone's bonding and everyone's faith?
Yeah, I think it's grown tremendous, and I think you can like tell on Saturdays too, like how that is. Teams that have like a disconnect, they're not able to overcome some adversity that other teams are. I think a good example of that was us last year. Like there was just some kind of disconnect, whether it was between two of the same position, offense, defense, whatever it was. And this year, like the leadership is just great, just from guys like older guys like Matt Jones, Garmin, Hal Presley. Like those guys they're awesome. You can tell they want to win. When they talk, everybody listens. And so to kind of have that, everybody bought in, it means a lot. And I think that's where you're seeing like the growth and the success coming from, is from the leadership and the bond. And like those are guys, like you don't follow somebody who you don't like. Right. And so like those guys have a say because, everybody wants to win with them. They want to win for them. And so having guys like that is really important to a successful team.
What guy is the most important outside of you on the offensive side of the ball? You mentioned Garmin, you mentioned Matt, but who else is someone who you follow, even though you're the quarterback?
On offense?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot. It's hard to just pinpoint one person. Hal definitely has a voice.
Hal Presley.
Hal Presley has a voice. Josh Cameron has a voice. Yeah. And then, the line.
Do they have a voice because they're telling you to throw them the ball?
No. It's like, hey, like pick it up, and like, all right, we need to pick up. And then like all the linemen, like the linemen control the whole thing, because if they don't play hard, you're not gonna have any success. And so anytime one of the linemen says something, or there's some kind of like, you listen to those guys because you want them on your side. And so I think that's why we're having success on offense, is there's not just one person who's like trying to pull the other 10 guys. It's like the majority of the guys are like, hey, this is how we do it. This is how we're going to get it done. And there might be one who's like having an off day, and the 10 other guys pull him with us. And so like that's where you see a lot of the success coming from, is it's not just one guy.
All right, a couple more questions for you, and I'll let you go. I know you got to get to TCU. What have you learned as far as being a player this year? And you've experienced a lot of success. People are talking about you. I mean, and they're doing it because the numbers are indicating in the same breath as like Robert Griffin. How are you handling the success? How are you staying in the moment?
It kind of goes back to what you were saying about like, how do you handle the people on social media when they talk bad about it? It's the same kind of thing. If you listen to them, you can't listen to them when they're talking good if you don't listen to them when you're talking bad. So it goes back to that circle that I was talking about. Those are the opinions of me that matter. But
so even the good and the bad, like you kind of stay right here.
I mean, sometimes the good is worse than the bad, because it fills your head up, and that's the last thing I want to is be like too over the top, arrogant, like that stuff. And so I have a standard for myself as far as just being a quarterback. I want to be, like I want to be. Everybody wants to be the best, and it's just staying hungry week in, week out, to try to win. At the end of the day, wins and losses are what matters. Like that's what head coaches get measured by. That's what I feel like quarterbacks get measured by too. And so at the end of the day, that's what I'm striving to achieve as a quarterback. And hopefully, when it's all said and done, we've won a lot of games, because that's what I want, and like that's the standard. And I'm going to try to lead everybody. And I'm going to try to be the guy that, gets the job done.
On the field, when the bullets started flying, early in the season, game 1, since that point in the year, what about your play on the field has improved the most notably to you?
I would say, one, I think the game has slowed down a lot since the first game, even going back to last year. But then on top of that, like, there's a lot of, like, I rely on a lot of the other guys. You know, I think the line is playing great right now. It's easy throwing to some of the guys that I throw to just because either they're so open or they're covered and they're still making catches. So I get a lot of the credit that I really don't deserve. But I'm just happy with how, like, we're scoring points, to be honest, because, you know, can't win games if you don't score points. And so I think everybody's starting to gel, everybody's starting to click, and that's probably what I'm most proud of. Is, like, I think people are having fun out there when they're playing, and you know, I'm having fun with them, and that's what matters to me.
Yeah, well, matters that you came by, dude. I appreciate it. Sorry.
Thank you very much.
We are Rogue Media Sports.